going pretty easy. So yeah, great urban area bike.
What's up, y'all? So we received I think this is a moped style e-bike because it has a motorcycle style front fork. It has dual suspension. The suspension in the back of the bike is UL certified, and it's like multi-layered, which is supposed to make it more comfortable than like your average standard dual suspension bike. And this is the second e-bike I've gotten from Lacros. Their last e-bike, that's one thing that stood out on the last e-bike I had that I reviewed from them, was the suspension. Like it was a little bit more comfortable than I would say your average full suspension bike when you're going off-road. So the bike that we received is a Lacros Cyclone. Again, this is the moped style e-bike. That's what I'm going to consider it as because it is a bit more narrow than like a full-size e-bike. This bike has a 750 watt motor with a 1400 watt peak. Advertised to go 28 miles per hour, but we're going to test that out. I think it might go faster than that. This bike has a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. Advertised to go up to 60 to 80 miles per charge. This bike weighs 82 pounds maximum. That's kind of heavy for a bike.
Heavy. But
the maximum weight of the rider is 400 pounds.
To purchase this e-bike, feel free to use my link and my code in the description below to get a discount. Also, I am doing an e-bike giveaway. If you want to be included in this giveaway, you have to be subscribed to the channel and comment below on what type of e-bike you would like.
And see, is this one of the best moped style e-bikes that we received. This box has seen better days.
This is what the bike looks like fresh out the box. Looks like it was wrapped, I would say pretty well. So this is what the bike looks like without the wrapping. It doesn't look like anything was damaged. I actually like the color that I chose too. Looks like we're gonna have to install the handlebar, which is already attached via wires. Looks like we're gonna have to install this 20 by 4 inch all-terrain wheel with Lacros tires.
What?
I've experienced Lacros tires before. The ones that I had before, they seemed pretty grippy. I guess it's maybe a little bit on the slick side. We'll see. The rear rack is already installed, so that's good. This bike also came with a box, so let's see what's in the box. Okay, so it looks like we have our quick release front axle, which I like the most, and that's to install our front wheel. We have our pedals, which are labeled. Get a look at our tools. Yeah. Hexagon wrench I will actually use. Pretty sure this is our battery charger to charge our 48 volt 20 amp hour battery. User's manual, so let's look into this a little bit. So the assembly instructions looks like drawings. I'd much rather they use pictures instead, but we'll see. Some information about their warranty here. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and get our front wheel on. And to tighten this handlebar, we're going to put this screw in there, but then there's also 2 screws on the side that we're going to have to screw to make all this tight. We have an adjustable handlebar stem. I love that feature because that means not only can this bike accommodate different heights of riders, but it can also accommodate different riding like postures. So we're not going to install this headlight. I didn't see it because it looks like it's already screwed into your front fork facing that way.
What?
But before we do that, we're going to also install this front fender on this front fork and then put the headlight at the end of the front fender like that. This front fork is a bit unstable. See if y'all can see that. That's because we think this needs to be shoved in this a little bit more. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to undo all of this up here. Take this off on the front fork, take all that off, shove this in there more securely, and then put all this back on real tight, more securely. That way you won't get this right here. And with this display, looks like the screw was cut in half or is broken here. So I'm at the bottom of the bike and I removed the headset, this headset ring here. One side is completely flat. The other side is kind of curved, like it kind of have a curve on it. Right now the curve is facing the bottom, right? Which makes sense because that's supposed to attach to your front fork, but it's slipping because of the curve. It's slipping a bit, so I am going to turn this upside down, and I added some oil in here to try to make this, make sure it fits back in correctly. So that way my front fork is going into the flattest part of this headset ring. I do think a key part of putting this front fork on is this right here. This is like a ring that can open and close, but I think it's what locks everything above this tightly. So we're going to try to make this as tight as possible now that I have this front fork kind of where I want it, hoping that it won't slip off. But I think in order to do that, this has to be on very, very tightly. You got to really squeeze it together, and we kind of squeezing and shoving it down at the same time. If we have that in there tightly, we should be able to now put this cap on top of it and hope that that makes everything super tight. Including the headset one that I added. Now I'll put the handlebar on. So it looks like I can turn the handlebar with no problem, which is good. Can I lift this bike without this coming loose down here? That means I fixed it, so let's see. Okay. I have no shaking going on down here, so looks like I fixed it. This bike is a little bit on the large side for a moped style e-bike, but it's still pretty compact. It's about 5 feet 10 inches from wheel to wheel. The seat at its lowest point from the floor is about 2 feet 7 inches. The handlebar, again, which is adjustable, where we have it now, is about 3 feet 11 inches from the floor. I like the color that I chose for this bike. It's kind of like a reddish orange, but I think this is an interesting looking bike, to say the least. Let me know what y'all think. And do y'all think this is more of a street bike, or would y'all consider this more of a moped style e-bike? Because it has dual suspension, including this motorcycle style front fork. Speaking of the suspension, and again, I had this suspension on my last Lacros bike. That suspension really did deliver. But curious on how that suspension is going to perform on a smaller bike. You know what I mean? That's have an awkward body like this. Give y'all an idea of this rear suspension. We also have suspension in the front of the bike, and looks like you can adjust your compression. So right now we have compression. Let's say you want to lock this out and have less compression, and you turn this way. Give y'all an idea of this front suspension. Again, not sure of what the actual brand of tire this is. It does say it's a Lacros tire, but I will say the last Lacros bike that I had, those tires were very durable. This is a sturdy rear rack for one that can be removed. I would say a rear rack like this can hold probably like 50 pounds. Seems like we have a nice comfortable seat though. To look at our rear and front 180 millimeter. It says it's the Lacros disc brake. The handlebar is pretty wide for a moped style e-bike. So this commuter style handlebar is about 2 feet 4 inches wide. Loving the leather type material on the handlebar grips. It looks like we don't have a horn, but we do have a bell. Also like how they make it easy for you to replace your hydraulic brake fluid here. It does have more of a traditional 7-gear shifter. So we're going to go ahead and turn this bike on our panel. We're going to press and hold this M button in the middle, and that turns our LCD display on. And this is an M5 display. It's not colored, but it is pretty standard. Go through some basic information on the display. Looks like we have our energy bar at the top, which is our battery life. Our speed calculator, right now we have it in miles per hour. Pretty sure you can change that kilometers. Our odometer and our pedal assist modes, and by default looks like we have 5 different pedal assist modes. And if you quickly click the M button, that'll give us more information. So that goes from our odometer to our trip mileage to how long has we had the bike on for. Now if I press and hold the plus button, that turns my small but pretty bright headlight on and my rear light on. And that rear light is also a brake light. So we have like over 10 advanced settings on this bike. We're not going to go through all of them, but we will go through some of them. So to go into our advanced settings, you're going to press and hold the up and the down button. Press and hold both of those. And then we go into our advanced settings here. So P01 is how bright do I want my display. I'm going to keep it at a 3. And I'm clicking the M button in the middle of my panel in order to go from one setting to the next. P2 is how do I want to calculate my speed. Do I want to do miles per hour or kilometers? And I'm pressing up and down to change my value here. We're going to keep it at miles per hour. P4 is how many minutes do I want to go by before this bike automatically turns off. So like my sleep minutes. So I'm going to keep it at 10 minutes. This is where you can determine how many pedal assist modes you have. But right now we have 5. We're going to keep it at that. This is what you can also do in P05. So from here I'm going to press and hold the down button. So from here I'm going to click the M button until that says P, and then I'm going to press up. So now I can determine how much power I get per pedal assist mode, and I by default increased all of them by 10 because I know Lacros bikes for whatever reason are really low for every mode except 5. So from 1 through 4 I increased it by 10 points. I left 5 alone. P08 is your limit speed, and that's in kilometers. How fast this bike can go looks like it goes a maximum of 51 kilometers. P11 is your pedal assist sensitivity, and I love it when e-bikes have this feature. I do think your sensitivity should be able to be adjusted because it may be different for people who are different weights. And P12 is your start intensity. So this is if you want to take off fast or if you want your takeoff to be more gradual. So we're now going to try out the different pedal assist modes. Started with mode 1, and remember I did increase mode 1 through 4. I did increase the pedal assist, the power a little bit just because I know this bike does not have a lot of power in mode 1 through 4 for whatever reason, but I did not adjust the pedal assist. So alright, so mode 1 looks like 10 miles per hour. Pedal assist was decent. It did take off immediately, but it didn't send me flying. But it was decent. So alright, looks like I'm now more at like 9, yeah, I guess 9 10 miles per hour mode 1. Now gonna switch to mode 3, and again we do have 5 different pedal assist modes, but we're only gonna try out mode 1 and 3 right now. We'll do mode 5 later when we have a longer strip. Mode 3, and you really get to, whoa, pedal assist took off immediately in mode 3. Alright, so 13, 14, obviously a little too much pedal assist in mode 3. I think it's okay. I'll just go ahead and brake. Really like the brakes though. So Lacros Cyclone
fixed up.
What are your thoughts?
It feels a lot safer. The suspension is good. I give a suspension like a 7.5.
7.5 on the suspension. Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, no, I give it an 8.
You give a suspension an 8.
Suspension is alright. I give it an 8. As soon as the pedal assist kicks in, it's like
it sends you.
It doesn't go very fast unless you go to mode 5.
Unless you're in mode 5, yeah.
Yeah. Mode 5 is going.
Gone, yeah.
You gone. You out of there. So it does get up to max speed, but you got to get up to mode 5. In my opinion, mode 1, 2, 3, and 4 is like.
Like if you're on the trail or something like that.
And then 5 is.
Gone, yeah. All right, so what would you get this bike on a scale from 1 to 10?
But now I say I would give this an 8.
8. Okay. So we're about to get our point of view shots in. Kind of breezy day today. Probably around 60 degrees. Which feels more like 50 degrees if you're on a bike ride, you know what I'm saying? But now we're gonna start out by testing out these tires, these Lacros tires. Go get some gravel here. All right, there's a little slipping going on, I'm not even gonna lie. But not a whole lot. Let's try to brake here. Actually not bad. Now these tires are definitely grippy enough for you to lean into your turns on this bike. But I would say be careful leaning on this bike because this handlebar is a little unforgiving on the turns. So you really got to keep both hands on the handlebar. So we're now going to go off-road on this bike. See if I adjusted the front fork well enough for it not to shake a whole lot. We're going to go off-road with some hills. Try out the suspension, the tires. Again, the fix to the front fork that I did. You see how this goes here. All right. The rear suspension is great. Front suspension is, let's see. Verdict still out on the front suspension. Do a little more here. Suspension is decent actually. Well, let's keep going. Yes, front suspension is decent. I can hear that front fender clanking up against, I guess, my front fork. I've had better, but this is pretty good. I would say on the scale from 1 to 10, I get a suspension probably like maybe like an 8. Now I'm 5'11", 6 feet with shoes on. I would say this bike is perfect for a guy my height because it has a really long seat pole, and again because the handlebar is adjustable. So I'm in between like a aggressive and commuter style posture, but I like the fact that I could adjust the handlebar if I want to be in a flat out commuter style posture. I could do that. Now I do have the seat pole up as high as it can go though. Easy to get on and off this bike because it's a step through, you know what I mean? That's pretty easy. But while I'm off the bike, let me talk about this pedal assist. So, this is one thing I don't like about a speed sensor. I like torque sensors much better. So I'm in mode 3, gives me way too much pedal assist. Look, it took off immediately, right? I'm barely pedaling here. I'm in mode 3. You know, I'm barely pedaling, but that's because in a speed sensor it's trying to take you to that speed. But what's crazy is, even if I switch this to mode 4, and again, I increased all the powers by 10 points, but even when I ghost pedal in mode 4, it only takes me up to like 16, 17 miles per hour. So it's not taking into account my pedal at all, but that's usually what you get with a speed sensor. I'm gonna bring the sensitivity down a little bit. Let's try it. So I changed the pedal assist sensitivity to the least sensitive. My intensity is to make it go the slowest, so my takeoff speed should be the slowest. And I'm in mode 3. Let's see if I made any changes here. See if I can. Okay, it's still okay. I can't really ghost pedal in mode 3. I guess I can a little bit, but I think it's a lot better. I have to pedal a bit in mode 3 now, so that's good. But yeah, this is least sensitive. Now if I go to mode 4, I can still ghost pedal in mode 4 though. And that's with it to the least sensitive. I can still ghost pedal quite a bit in mode 4. But I can still only get up to like 17, 18 miles per hour in mode 4. So this bike is pretty comfortable. Definitely not comfortable enough where I feel like I can use this bike without my hands on the handlebar. I can try, but nah. Yeah, just not that kind of bike, you know what I mean? But comfortable enough, in my opinion. front fork, which is usually heavy, so it's gonna lean to the left or the right, unless you really keep your hand. So we're not gonna try out max speed, throttle only. Let's see how fast we go here. All right, 22, we got to 22 pretty quick. 24. 25, 26, 28, 29, 28. I guess I'll say 27 or 28 miles per hour max speed. And now about to try out max speed. Pedal assist, and again, I might have to ghost pedal here a little bit. I just don't know how to change the sensitivity to where I'm not ghost pedaling. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. The thing is fast though, for a bike that you have to ghost pedal. And I'm turning, so me turning is lowering the speed, so. All right, so I'll say 30 miles per hour. I'm kind of 50-50 on whether I would use this bike in the streets, because this front fork does give it some weight, which is good, but because the front fork leans so easy to the left or the right, you really got to keep both hands on your handlebar. It can spin out because of the front fork, but it can like go to the left or the right real easy because it's so heavy. But you do have full suspension. You can keep up with traffic pretty good. You don't have a horn, so you would have to install that if you want to be in the streets, because they're not going to hear this bell. I do like you have a nice wide handlebar, which you can use to control in the streets, but that's why I'm 50-50. But I do think this is a great bike for more like urban areas because it's compact. You can get on and off the bike pretty quickly because it's a step through. You have dual suspension, so that'll help handle some of the cracks you might get in the sidewalk and things like that, or sometimes the sidewalk is not kept very well. Won't be a problem on this bike. And because the way this handlebar is designed, it can make some pretty sharp turns. Like it's almost as sharp as like a folding bike, but folding bike is definitely way more sharp, you know, the ones with the vertical stem handlebar. But yeah, you can make some pretty sharp turns on this bike. So urban areas, absolutely. I would definitely say this is a great bike for urban areas. We are now about to try out max speed, throttle only, up a hill. And this is a pretty steep hill, about 35-degree hill, and it has a turn. And I believe you go to the max throttle only, regardless of what PAS mode you're in. So going into the hill now at 22 miles per hour, going to the hill and the turn now. Okay, 20, 19, 18, 16, 15, 14, 13. You're gonna get to 12? All right, 13. So it looks like we lost about 9 miles per hour, which is about the standard of what we lose going up this hill.
Lacros Cyclone, what I like about the bike is the suspension in the back of the bike. I think it's high level. The one in the front of the bike I didn't like so much, but it wasn't bad. I like the size, a bit shorter than like
a full-size e-bike. I like the speed. I was able to get up to like 29 to 30 miles per hour on this bike. I do like that you have over 10 advanced settings where you can change things like your pedal assist sensitivity and your takeoff speed. In order for me to like not have to ghost pedal, I had to change the sensitivity to the least sensitive. So I think out the box, this bike gives you just way too much pedal assist sensitivity. And that's really in mode 4 and 5. Mode 3 through 1, I think the sensitivity was okay, but only after I changed it to the least sensitive. So but that's usually what you get with like a speed sensor. That's why I like torque sensors better. The battery life is just okay. I went on a 13-mile bike ride, mainly in mode 4. I spent like 3 or 4 of those miles going mode 5 pedal assist though. In that 13 miles, I lost 4 out of 10 battery bars. So I think that's more like 40 to 45 miles to charge. So I think it's a decent bike for the price. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would give this bike a 7.7.
Now I can give an odd number.
That's an odd number.
I give it a 7.8. Comment below what you would give this e-bike on a scale from 1 to 10. Any other e-bike you want me to review, also comment below. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.